Welcome back to Singly Loving. This channel is a place where I share my journey as a single foster parent, and hopefully it will encourage you, whether you are a foster parent, a single foster parent, somebody who just wants to encourage foster parents. I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. I have some things that I'm really passionate about sharing that I want to share with you today. And this comes from a prompt that was Amanda Carpenter over on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram right here like I usually do. She was doing prompts every day in May for Foster Care Awareness Month. And one of the prompts was, what has foster care taught you about issues of poverty, racism, and injustices? I get so passionate about this stuff, and I just have thoughts all the time about this. I think there is so much work to do in the foster care community, in foster care advocacy, in communities that are hit hard by just needing foster care services. I just get so passionate about this. So I'm going to share a couple things with you today. And with that said, I'm actually only going to hit on one point on each of those three areas. So one thing to say about poverty, one thing to say about racism, and one thing to say about injustices. And we'll leave it at that today. It is absolutely not exhaustive, and those three issues are so closely, intricately tied together. But I wanted to kind of hit on three different topics that maybe more fall into those three areas. And if this is something that is helpful to people, I would love to talk more about this and put together some more thoughts to share with you. So let me know what you think, and yeah, hopefully there'll be more that comes from this. So first off is, what has foster care taught me about poverty? So poverty is, it's more than just financial. Like, let's just get that straight. It's poverty of resources and relationships. Yeah, financial as well. Services. There's so many things that contribute to poverty. And in my opinion, and what I've seen so far in my experience of foster care, is that way too many kids are removed or not quickly reunified. Sorry about the wind. Or not quickly reunified with family because of issues that are actually poverty issues and not child welfare issues. And it's complicated because sometimes that means that because those issues are so ingrained in our society, and they're often generational, that it sometimes might create a situation where it's hard for that kid to get back home because there are poverty issues that our society is not dealing with. And it just makes me mad. I currently have kiddos. That is very much the situation, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Kids are going through trauma and having to come to my home. No matter how good my home is, it's traumatic for a kid to have to go to a new home. So yeah, I have definitely seen that poverty plays a huge role in the foster care system and in getting kids back where they need to go. You know, I heard it several times over the month of May when I was following different accounts tackling this issue. Like, what if we gave those resources that we get as foster parents, what if we reinvested those into that family that needs the services? And I know there are services for families. I'm not saying that. I know that people are doing their best, that are social workers and all of that. But at the end of the day, when poverty is the issue and it's not just a financial issue, you can't just give money. Poverty is an issue that needs to be solved through human interaction. The poverty of resources and relationships has to be solved through human relationships. I think this is such an important part of why I want to get involved with the families of the kiddos as much as possible that have come through my home, because it's very likely if they're already placed in foster care, it means there wasn't other family members. A lot of times there are other family members able or safe or capable to have those children. So that person literally, it means that they have no one that can safely take their children. That is poverty of relationship. So what if you were that relationship with that family member, that mom or grandma or whoever, that gives them the ability to have relational reserve and be able to get their kids back. Maybe you can be that relationship that they need. So I don't know. Maybe it sounds simplistic, but it's a very complicated topic, so I don't want to make it sound simplistic. But yeah, poverty is a real threat to our kids, and I'm not talking financial poverty. You know, it's poverty in all different ways, and the system, government programs, they can't solve those things. You can't throw money at something. You need people to invest. You need people who have excess in terms of relationships and resources, and who have been, you know, privileged enough to have good mental health. You need those people to step up and get into communities where those things have been lacking for generations. Okay, so I'm 4 minutes in on that topic. I'm gonna go on to the next topic, which is racism. All right, I just want to start out by saying I don't want to be insensitive at all to this topic, because this is something right now in our culture. It is June of 2020, if you're watching this sometime later in the future, that there are so many important things that need to be said on the topic of racism, and so I'm not going to say them all here. I encourage you to go, like in my post or my last YouTube video, I mentioned to get involved with the group Be the Bridge and Latasha Morrison, but you can find so many amazing people that are honestly overextending themselves right now to educate, especially majority culture or non-Black culture. So listen to your Black friends, listen to people, listen to the voices of Black people, amplify those voices, please, please, please. So I'm not going to tackle all those issues today. But the thing that I did want to say about racism and foster care is I think, in my opinion, that myself included, but the white parents of non-white kids, so transracial adoptive parents, specifically those that are white parents with non-white kids, we have a long way to go. We have a really long way to go. I think there's not enough conversation on this topic. There is if you look for it, so go look for it, but I've just heard some really insensitive things from parents, sorry about the wind, from parents that are raising non-white kids, and we all have room to grow, and we all make mistakes, and we all say things that we wish we could take back, but I am so discouraged at times that I'm not seeing these white parents in particular rise to the occasion and stand up and speak out for minority cultures in our country. So that is what I have to say about that topic. And one thing I will add on the positive side of that is I think absolutely that transracial adoptee and foster parents, whether it is a Black parent raising an Asian or a white child, or a white parent raising a Black child or a Hispanic child, whatever it is, I think we are in a position, just such a unique position in culture, to be bridge builders, and we need to step up to that. We need to step up to being bridge builders to help the people in our own culture understand, and to bridge that gap between, you know, those perceived ideas and you know, what everybody wants to think about, for me, like my Black children. I mean, I am not the model at doing this. I let so many things slide that I look back and think I wasn't okay with them saying that to me, or I wasn't okay with them, you know, touching my child's hair, or, you know, making some remark about them or their family, their biological parents. So yeah, I'm not an ideal in this, and I think there's just a long way to go. So let's do the work. Like, let's get in there and get dirty and do it. The last topic, injustice. Woo, you say so much about injustice in the foster care system, but I want to stick with something that it really hits home with me in many cases is this injustice towards the kids in this whole thing. Like, I hear foster care is about the kids. I hear caseworkers tell me that. I hear that in classes. And then when they say that, for example, in a class, that this is all about the kids, you see every foster parent in the room like head up, like, what are you talking about? That's not been our experience. This isn't about the kids. It's about the parents, or doing like paperwork being done a certain way, or the court system. Like, come on. Like, if this was about the kids, it wouldn't take a year after an objection on a case for it to get settled and figured out. That's not justice for the kids. That is injustice. And they don't have a voice to speak up in this. As foster parents, we're one of the only voices, and we're actually not really, like, our voice really isn't welcome as much as the lawyers and all of that in court cases. So, man, it's really hard to watch the injustice for these kids. Sometimes that injustice looks like they don't get to go back to family for some reason. And that's an injustice in itself, and it doesn't mean it can necessarily be solved because maybe there really isn't a safe home for them to go back to, but it is an injustice in their life that they're going to have to work through for the rest of their life. And sometimes that injustice is that it is not safe for them to go home, and the courts have decided that, but the courts can just take their merry time while the kids stay in this in-between space, not having a real home, not having like a legal mom and dad or parents or whoever, remaining in foster care for years, 2, 3, 4 years in foster care because the courts have their way of doing things. Or let's talk about a kid coming into foster care for something, or staying in foster care for something very small, but their parents cannot, or relative or whoever, cannot get their rights back until that next court case. So you're going to traumatize a child for all that time because we can't get you a court case until next month. Sorry. Like, there's so much injustice for the kids, and it breaks my heart, and I think it's a huge call for foster parents to step up. People who have a heart for families, especially families, not just the kids. You have to have a heart for the families, to step up and take on some of this junk that is in our culture. We need to step up and do this. It's not, I hear sometimes like, do it for the kids. It's not just for the kids, it's for justice. Be instruments of justice in our world, and if you see something broken, you can't fix it all as a foster parent, but you can step up and be an example of what's right and good as a foster parent. So yeah, hopefully that encourages you today. Hopefully, if it's too heavy, I'm sorry. It's my opinion and my experiences, and it very well could be reality for a lot of people. So I hope you learned something. I hope you do take this to heart and maybe take a next step towards supporting foster parents or supporting parents that are in critical situations and might just need a supportive relationship in their life. So thanks so much for watching. Come back soon. Bye.